Lesson 3.2, Energy Producers and Consumers. Think about it. At the core of every organism's interaction with the environment is its need for energy to power life's processes. Ants use energy to carry objects many times their size. Birds use energy to migrate thousands of miles. You need energy to get out of bed in the morning. Where does energy in living systems come from? How is it transferred from one organism to another? Primary producers. Living systems operate by expending energy. Organisms need energy for growth, reproduction, and their own metabolic processes. In short, if there is no energy, there are no life functions. Yet, no organism can create energy. Organisms can only use energy from other sources. You probably know that you get your energy from the plants and animals you eat. But where does energy in your food come from? For most life on Earth, sunlight is the ultimate energy source. Over the last few decades, however, research have discovered that there are other energy sources for life. For some organisms, chemical energy stored in inorganic chemical compounds serves as the ultimate energy source for life processes. Only algae, certain bacteria, and plants like the one in figure 3.4 can capture energy from sunlight or chemicals and convert it into forms that living cells can use. These organisms are called autotrophs. Autotrophs use solar or chemical energy to produce food by assembling inorganic compounds into complex organic molecules. But autotrophs do more than feed themselves. Autotrophs store energy in the forms that make it available to other organisms that eat them. That's why autotrophs are also called primary producers. Primary producers are the first producers of energy-rich compounds that are later used by other organisms. Primary producers are therefore essential to the flow of energy through the biosphere. Energy from the sun. The best known and most common primary producers harness solar energy through the processes of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis captures light energy and uses it to power chemical reactions that convert carbon dioxide and water into oxygen and energy-rich carbohydrates such as sugar and starches. This process, shown in figure 3.5, below left, adds oxygen to the atmosphere and removes carbon dioxide. Without photosynthetic producers, the air would not contain enough oxygen for you to breathe. Plants are the main photosynthetic producers on land. Algae fill that role in freshwater ecosystems and in the sunlit upper layers of the ocean. Photosynthetic bacteria, most commonly cyanobacteria, are important primary producers in ecosystems such as tidal flats and salt marshes. Life without light. About 30 years ago, biologists discovered thriving ecosystems around volcanic vents in total darkness on the deep ocean floor. There is no light for photosynthesis, so who or what were the primary producers? Research revealed that these deep-sea ecosystems depended on primary producers that harness chemical energy from inorganic molecules such as hydrogen sulfide. These organisms carry out a process called chemosynthesis, in which chemical energy is used to produce carbohydrates as shown in figure 3.5, below right. Chemosynthetic organisms are not only found in the deepest, darkest ocean, however. Several types of chemosynthetic producers have since been discovered in more parts of the biosphere than anyone expected. Some chemosynthetic bacteria live in harsh environments, such as deep-sea volcanic vents or hot springs. Others live in tidal marshes along the coast. Consumers. How do consumers obtain energy and nutrients? Animals, fungi, and many bacteria cannot directly harness energy from the environment as primary producers do. These organisms, known as heterotrophs, must acquire energy from other organisms by ingesting them in one way or another. Heterotrophs are also called consumers. Organisms that rely on other organisms for energy and nutrients are called consumers. Types of consumers. Consumers are classified by ways in which they acquire energy and nutrients as shown in figure 3.6. As you will see, the definition of food can vary quite a lot among consumers. Beyond consumer categories. Categorizing consumers is important, but these simple categories don't often express the real complexity of nature. Take herbivores, for instance. Seeds and fruits are usually rich in energy and nutrients, and they are often easy to digest. Leaves are generally poor in nutrients and are usually very difficult to digest. For that reason, herbivores that eat different plant parts often differ greatly in the ways they obtain and digest their food. In fact, only a handful of birds eat leaves because the kind of digestive system needed to handle leaves efficiently is heavy and difficult to fly around with. Moreover, organisms in nature often do not stay inside the tidy categories ecologists place them in. For example, some animals often described as carnivores, such as hyenas, will scavenge if they get a chance. Many aquatic animals eat a mixture of algae, bits of animal carcasses, and detritus particles, including feces of other animals. So these categories can make a nice place to start talking about ecosystems, but it's important to expand this topic by discussing the way that energy and nutrients move through ecosystems.